Well, hey, welcome back to Real Talk. Pastor Joe, how's quarantine?
Wow, it is really fun.
How about you? Let's talk about me. I have cabin fever.
You look like it. You look like Tom Hanks from Castaway.
I feel like Tom Hanks from Castaway.
Do you have a little,
Let me out.
A little ball
Yes,
that you
I
talk
to it.
Do you really? You're so desperate.
Oh,
that you
man.
have I see you got a haircut. I got a haircut, and
It's a good one.
my wife gave me a haircut,
Excellent.
and I
You just
am
stand
so
in the mirror,
thankful for my barber. Like, for the guy who cuts my hair. We need to give a little bit of shout out love
to your barber?
to our local barbers. Because, you know, when you cut it yourself, it kind of looks like...
Man.
Quarantine world is...
It's different.
It really is.
And I am amazed at how the weather impacts my ability to handle quarantine life. Because we had a couple days of cold and rainy, and it's just were the longest days ever.
I know. And I think of our friends, some people that are living in apartments. We're living in dense urban centers. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Right.
Some
stuck inside, packed in like a sardine, man.
Wow. So yeah, the weather impacts quarantine.
Big time.
Family, sometimes family wakes up on the right side of the bed. Seems like they're waking up on the wrong side mostly. And sometimes I'm waking up on the wrong side.
I was going to say, I had a couple days like that. Where it's like, I know I'm snapping at my family, and it's hard, right?
Yeah, it shows us really quickly the things that change our mood and the things that cause us to get discouraged or get excited. Man, I'm just excited right now. Like, if the birds are singing, the sun's out, and I can get a cup of coffee. Right. Like, small things that are really, really awesome.
Right.
For sure.
That's cool. All right, let's turn it loose, because some people are saying there's stuff all over the internet right now, and some people ask questions about what does coronavirus have to do with sort of biblical prophecy? Where is it in the picture? Like, is this the end of the world? Is it Coronapocalypse? Like, is this it, man? Great REM song, by the way. End of the world.
It is a great song.
Yeah.
You should go listen to that. Or what about
Producer Jenny? Right here?
Or Billy Joel? What's that one song Billy Joel sings? That's like, Jenny, what is that one? You know that one? Oh, Billy Joel sings, well, whatever. Billy Joel sings a really good one, too.
She just doesn't have a clue what you're talking about.
She's like, Billy who?
Now, just interesting fact, did Billy Joel sing a song about Allentown?
About Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Right?
He did, but it was because the lyrics for Bethlehem, Pennsylvania didn't work, so he switched it to Allentown, just because it sounded better.
No kidding?
But is coronavirus the end of the world? Is that what the Bible says? Oh, teaching Pastor Brad, please tell us, illuminate to us.
Okay.
Is this what the Bible predicts is the end?
Let me play that side of it just for a minute. So, certainly, there is a lot of prophecy in the Bible about what things will look like in what the Bible calls the last days, or before the second coming of Christ, right? Now, we can look at that. Is that a long period of time, short period of time? What other events are in there? There's various theological views. But we do know that there are going to be some world events, some impact before Christ returns. At least it seems like it when we read prophecy, right? It talks about things like Matthew 24. Jesus himself is talking about there's going to be earthquakes, famines, wars, rumors of wars. Some translations, in the original Greek, there's a word in there that really looks like plagues, pestilence, it says.
Oh, pestilence.
Right?
Is it?
And other events that have this sort of global scale. We don't have a lot of day-to-day events that have this sort of global impact. We have things that have regional impact. Certainly in America, we don't see a lot of epidemic things like this.
Yeah.
In the third world, there's a lot of sickness that wipes out huge groups of people, but we're not used to it. So when we look through kind of that lens of Matthew 24 that talks about plagues, you can look in various places in Revelation 6, see some of these world events, this outpouring of end time events. And people are kind of wondering, is this global pandemic, does it line up with that?
Yep. Yeah, so interesting to think of the Bible teaching us that there are going to be last days. I mean, for some of our viewers right now, that just is mind-blowing. But yeah, that's what the Bible teaches, that there are last days, and there is going to be a judgment day. We talked about that at church yesterday, faithchurchlv.com, if you want to watch a sermon kind of on just the fact that Jesus is going to judge the world, and there are days leading up to that, that it's probably good for people to know from a Christian perspective. The Bible talks about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Does it talk about it generically? Is this specifically pieces of end times prophecy? Another $1 million question. Yeah. And I wonder if every time there's been global problems, because I think you said it really well, we have regional issues all the time.
Right.
But how often are there global problems? Not as often. So globally, this is something impacting everyone. But there's been other global things that have impacted other people. And I think in other seasons of times where they say, of course, this global event means that Jesus is coming soon. And it doesn't happen.
Yeah, right. Every generation has thought they're the last, all the way back to first century Christians.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Every generation has thought it's going to happen. Jesus is coming back in our lifetime. And you're right, it hasn't happened yet. In part, the world hasn't really been able to have a global event like this because the world's been so big and so spread out. The world is getting smaller where now a global event is possible.
Explain though, what, obviously the world hasn't changed, but why do you say the world is getting smaller?
Yeah, because people are moving around so much where we're actually touching other people groups all the time. So if we had, there have been a ton of plagues and things over the course of history, and they've stayed regional, they've stayed somewhat local because that group of people wasn't traveling out because there weren't airplanes and there weren't large ships and things to move people around. So you can be in China or you can be in Australia today and tomorrow or the next day be back here in America. And so things like disease can move very quickly, where in the past that hasn't happened.
For sure. And then just the information age that interconnects us all together. So you have the ability to travel and the ability to know what's going on around the world.
Yeah.
So you have a very unique setting now where there's something global that can take place very differently than the past. Yet, Christians throughout the centuries, I'm sure during the plagues, Christians that were reading their Bible, I'm sure during the 1918 Spanish flu, I'm sure obviously during World War II, it was happening like crazy. Like certainly these must be the last time. So now, is it possible that this is a part of the last end times? I mean, what do you think?
I don't know.
I mean, my answer to that is always anything could be a part of the last times. One of the things that jumps out to me, it's really helpful, is to think that Jesus says, and the gospel must be preached to the nations, and then the end will come.
Yep, into Matthew 24, right?
Right so there. It's like, okay, two things before that, even though Jesus says no one knows exactly when.
Right.
So it's like only God knows when those last moments will come. And for Jesus to say the gospel must be preached to every nation and then the end will come, makes me go, there are still many, 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 many people groups that have not had the opportunity to hear about Jesus.
That represent billions of people.
And I know our Father wants, he is slow. For 2 Peter 3, right? He is slow, not wanting anyone to perish, but all to come unto repentance to Jesus. So God wants the world to hear the good news of Jesus Christ. Has that been possible up till this point? Missiologists and people that study this will go, no, there's still billions of people that haven't had an opportunity to hear. So with that in mind, I go, well, we're always marching closer to the end.
Yep.
Is this the end? My humble opinion, like no expert, but my humble opinion is, man, lots of people haven't had the opportunity to hear about Jesus and put their trust in Jesus, which would say to me, this is another opportunity for us to turn to God, to talk to God, to lean into who he is, and to tell our friends and neighbors about Jesus, because that's what's most important. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that this doesn't necessarily have to point to future events, but can we just use it to point to current events to say that we live in a broken world, that people are dying every day, and that they need Jesus? Like, can we just use it to point to the brokenness of the current world and our need for Jesus? And we don't even need to worry about linking it to future events. Is this a sign of the end times? I don't know. Does that have to be a bucket, or can all of history be a sign that this world is broken and Christ is going to come to redeem it? I don't know that we need to label any particular events that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's helpful to just go, God, this is in your world, your realm. I'm not in the business of predicting. I just think when Christians do that, if we get these verses together and we look through this angle on this Hebrew word, it's like, just relax, everybody. I think we're supposed to be faithful in our day and generation and love people, point them to the hope of Jesus, proclaim the good news until he comes. And when he cocomes, we'll know it.
Yeah. Right.
Like, we're not going to miss it.
So
right?
COVID in Hebrew doesn't mean this is the end?
I don't know. Again, but I do think people in modern times, we ignore the fact, we presume that the world as we know it is going to continue as we know it.
Yeah, right.
And if this COVID-19 doesn't cause everyone to stop and go, reality check, the world as we know it, there's no guarantees that it's going to stay the same going forward. And so let's seize the day. Let's be faithful to today and not worry about tomorrow, and talk about Jesus and share the love of Christ with people.
It's good.
It doesn't necessarily mean things are going to get easier. I think things could get harder for us, but God is our anchor and our hope. I don't know.
I have so much more we could talk about this. We have a lot more to say about this, but we're running out of time.
Well, like what?
Well, I mean, let's say it is the end of the world.
Ooh.
Should we talk about that?
I don't know.
Next time?
Do the people want to hear about it? If so,
Yeah.
Like, play that out? Is that what you're talking about?
If it is the end of the world, why are we so freaked out? Even if it is the end of the world.
Okay.
Next time?
Next time.
We'll see. See you next time on Real Talk.